to me as if most of you have finished.
Can we just have a quick blow on the buzzies things? Because that was really quiet. We could liven it up a little bit. Right. That was so quiet. I don't do quiet.
I'm getting anxious because it's quiet.
Isn't that silence?
I don't like silence, no.
So basically what this is saying is if there's one major incident of abuse or more than a couple of minor, the state via social services or another agency in consultation with social services has to look into it for the sake of the children and find out how the children are. Maybe if there's just one minor incident, this is what the law's really telling us that we've just read. One minor incident, it's arguable whether these are really minor anyway, but a minor incident, one alone, may not be enough to kick in further inquiries. But one serious, middling to serious one, or a couple of little ones, and then we have got to look into it. Social services or an agency with their agreement must see how the children are and find out quite a lot. Any particular questions about this? Any terminology? Anything that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense?
The intervention bit about identifying the abusing partner and holding him or her accountable, that I'm not quite sure how that works in practice.
Well,
And provide opportunities to change his behaviour, that's sort of it.
it's a bit woolly, yes. I mean, how will that be done? But perpetrator would be in some sort of meeting as part of the social services initial assessment, or sometimes they would think this doesn't need an initial assessment, it's obvious we need to make a full investigation. And as part of that, the perpetrator will be spoken to and could have a very negative reaction and just pay lip service that say, yeah, well, get away with it. May agree to go on a course, may be sent on a course, who have got to go on a course, what are they called?
ICAO.
Yes. We could argue that that's not exactly sufficient yet.
But it's also interesting to point out, I think, that when they do the assessment for IDAP, some perpetrators are not suitable for it. They're not actually accepting that their behaviour is abusive. And so there are certain people, isn't there, Jess? Where's Jess gone? There are certain people that wouldn't be suitable for IDAP, aren't there?
If they don't admit that they've been violent, basically.
They can't.
Sometimes they do it court and then backtrack.
Yeah, but they, and when they're being interviewed by probation, they may well sort of give the impression that, well, actually what they did wasn't really that bad anyway. And that
They may do, and that really is not okay.
no.
However, hopefully, if this all works properly and the system works properly, there's now going to be a good eye on the family and particularly on the children. So others, school teachers will have a look out for them. Maybe a school council will be involved. Maybe the GP surgery and the health visitor may be involved. They will know.
I think that's one of our limitations. Is about what services are there for perpetrators, basically. Because if we've only really got IDAP, and you have to go through the court to get to IDAP. So in this instance, if it hadn't gone through the courts, there aren't any real options. But I mean,
I think the options will grow on this because, like I said, it takes a long time to get this from being a bit of paper to a real effective system that really can put this into practice. Some of this is a bit of a pipe dream at the moment, especially without monies to do it. But it says we must do it.
Good best practice.
So we can argue that we've got to have funds, we've got to be allowed to do it, because otherwise we can't meet the stipulation of the law, the local law. Did I answer your question at all?
I think Caitlin's sort of highlighted it really in that those opportunities don't really exist at the moment, although the law says that they should. They're not, maybe not fully realised yet, and that's something that will happen over time.
It is, because in the law we often go from should, things worded as should or may, something happens to tighten the law up, and that's usually a tragedy, and we go to must instead of should. Must. That will come sooner or later. Anything else on this?
I don't know if now's the time to sort of start a discussion on this, and you might tell me leave it for later, which is fine, but it's what I think is, it says very well here, is about the victim needs to be protected even when social services are asking them about domestic abuse, making sure that they're aware of how they should include that in the report, how they need to protect them from their partner sometimes. And I don't think it's something that always happens as well. I often find that information that I'm asked to share, unfortunately sometimes is being shared in a report that the perpetrator sees, sent to the address, and who can access it.
There are a lot of gaps like this. First of all, yes, we've got to get better and better across all agencies, working together to get real good, workable, effective strategies. And by sharing what works, we get there. I mean, at the moment, it's pockets of good work. It's what you're doing, which is often receiving national recognition. There's much more advanced work going on in Brighton and most of the country in terms of the Claremont project and working with perpetrators. I know that's slightly, or perhaps it's very controversial, I don't really know. But they're doing it down at Claremont and Brighton, have been for a while actually. So it's little pockets that, and then the good practice spreads. Another difficulty, which you're very well aware of, again this came up in this 2006 big change, revision of child protection law. It used to be agencies should work together to protect children, and now since 2006 it's agencies must work together. They're obliged to work together. They have to all have a child protection policy. Now, since 2006, any agency at all, whether it's private sector, voluntary sector, state sector, if it deals with children or parents of children, has to have a full child safeguarding policy and has to show that it puts it into practice. I've gone a little bit off in some ways, but I hope I just gave a basic answer to you. Did I or not?
I think it was just useful because I think other people sort of are obviously experiencing the same things as me, and it's not something that I don't really know. I mean, we just have to take responsibility ourselves for making it clear to social workers. Sometimes I find that I actually have to say, this shouldn't be passed to the perpetrator, please don't include it in the report. I think we have to take responsibility for saying it.
But that's something that our social worker might be able to answer later on for you.
Might be, yes. But, yeah, sorry, there's a key point I wanted to make about this partnership thing, is we must work together, but this is the real challenge for this decade. How can we really effectively work together? We do our bit, and then it seems, and they go off and do the next step, and it does seem completely discordant with what we've done. I mean, a lot more experience needs to be had of how do we effectively work together across the different agencies that are involved with children and families. Right, anything else on that? Any bits of terminology you'd like to understand? Please approach me during a break. I'll be very happy to try to answer, or perhaps even if I can't tell you where to find an answer. Because we need to move on, don't we now?
We do. And I'm conscious that we've run over by 15 minutes already, so do we want to do the next bit? Because the reading out bit is going to take us up to break time and then we get into the group
Don't
talk.
say long to read.
No?
We do that in the time and then have a break. Okay. I think I'm just going to say a bit of this, just briefly. We're doing some exercise now. We're on page 6, this might be of use to you. These are the 5 Every Child Matters outcomes. They are not direct answers to the exercises you're going to be doing today, but they help you, because these are the 5 really desired outcomes for children and their lifestyles, to have good development and to be protected or safeguarded from harm. This is the widely agreed government paper, Every Child Matters. These are the 5 outcomes, and then it's broken down with additional outcomes. And it will help you answer, because it will make you think very broadly. I mean, just take anyone at random. Be healthy. Children should be healthy, mentally and emotionally healthy. Can you be emotionally healthy if there's all sorts of rows or all sorts of tensions going on in the family? Emotionally healthy? Staying safe. One of them is have security and stability. Is there stability? if you don't know when mum's next gonna go really quiet or appear with a load of bruises and not be able to speak to you. Enjoy and achieve. Attend and enjoy school. How often does domestic violence interfere with school attendance? How can you enjoy school if you're sitting there thinking, oh God, I wonder how my mum is? And so forth. So when you do the exercises we're asking, you might like to have that out on the desk because it's just going to help you think very broadly about the effects of domestic violence on children.
Okay, so our first exercise is Eddie and Tamara, and I'm going to read out the background, give you the scenario, and then me and Gina are going to go into acting mode. Thankfully Gina is the child and I'm the adult. As it could have gone horribly wrong. Just a first, yeah. So the background is that Alina and John have lived together for 7.5 years, and a part of this exercise is to listen to the dialogue between us and observe. Alina and John's relationship went well enough until Tamara was born. After that, John became cold and distant towards Alina and began to treat her abusively. They have 2 children, Eddie who's 7 and Tamara is 4. With the help of her older brother, Alina made John leave the family home a month ago because he was frequently drunk when he came home in the evenings and highly verbally abusive and threatening to Alina. In the last 4 months, when John's behaviour to Alina deteriorated further, there were 1 or 2 occasions a week when his rage would reach the point where he'd hit and punch her. John has little time for his children, but will occasionally talk to them. So the scenario we have is that Alina has now confided in her sister Miriam the problems that she's had with John. And in response to hearing of her sister's problems, Miriam has come down to stay for a few days with Alina and the children. Miriam is concerned to find out from Alina that nobody has spoken with either of the children about what's happened. And sensing her sister's reluctance to approach the issue, Miriam asks if it's okay if she brings it up with Eddie, who's 7, and talks with him if he wants to, whilst Alina takes Tamara to a friend's birthday party. Alina agrees with this, and the conversation proceeds as follows, whilst Eddie is painting a model ambulance. Okay, Eddie, what's it like now that Dad isn't living at home anymore?
I really miss Daddy, but I don't tell Mummy because she gets really, really upset at anything to do with Daddy. I hate it when she gets upset. She nearly always cries, and she cries for ages, and it's hard to make her feel better. Mummy cries in different ways. When she goes to sniffles, that's a good time to try to make her laugh. Sometimes she stops if I get a tea or if I can make her laugh, and then I know she'll be all right. After me and Tamara had gone to bed, they were always arguing when Dad came back from work. He has to work really hard to pay all the bills and says it's so expensive to pay all the things for children too. So that's why he works really late all the time and doesn't have time to play with us.
So do you know what they're arguing about?
I can't really hear what they say to each other when they're downstairs, but I think it's because we're naughty and because Daddy has to work so hard to pay everything.
Okay. So how do you think you and Tamara are naughty?
Well, Tamara don't tidy up her toys properly and she's spilled paper on the carpet. I'm the naughty one, because Daddy didn't want to live in our house anymore. Last term, I was bad at school too. Miss Wake says I don't listen and I don't get on with my work like I used to, and I'm not getting stars anymore. I'm tired at school. Tommy and Liam annoy me. They used to be my friends, but they aren't now.